Nezza, are you scared?
No.
You're not scared at all?
No.
The fact that I'm gonna ask you the scariest question of all time? Okay, let's cheers.
Cheers.
You're the official first episode of Over the
Honored.
Surface.
Honored.
Honored to have you here.
Thanks.
Ugh, my lipstick's on there, it's fine. Nezza,
Yes.
you're one of my besties and I'm so happy to have you on here today.
Thanks for having me.
If you guys don't know who Nezza is, she is one of my best friends, insane music artist,
Oh, thanks.
YouTuber, book fanatic.
Yes.
She is here with us today, so I can ask her a very important question.
I'm scared. No. Oh, no.
I'm so excited.
What did I sign up for?
Okay, I promise it's not that serious. But
Okay.
at the beginning of every, I don't want to say interview, it's more of a conversation that we're going to have. But at the very start of every conversation with my guests, I am going to be asking one question. You can take as long as you want to answer it. You can explain. You can just give a one-worded answer.
One-worded answer?
Whatever you want, okay?
Okay.
You ready for it?
Yes.
Do you love yourself?
Whoa.
Isn't it the hardest but easiest question of all time?
Yeah. I feel like I am growing to fully love myself. I don't think it happens overnight. I think I'm closer to it than I was maybe even like a year ago, 2 years ago. I do love parts of myself, but I think I still struggle with like fully loving
You know what's
myself.
crazy? I honestly thought like you were gonna be like, I do love myself.
That
Because you carry yourself really
sure.
confidently. And I honestly like you inspire me because of that. You know, like when I walk into a room with you, I'm like, okay, I gotta walk in like Nezza. I gotta know, like I wanna like walk in and be like, yeah, I know who I'm gonna talk to, I know how I'm gonna act. Like you're so good at that.
I feel like people outside looking in would be like, oh, Nezza's gonna say yes. Yes, absolutely. I love everything about myself. No, I feel like everyone, like you just never know what someone, you know, like everything could look good on the surface, but like, yeah, I struggle with like self-love all the time.
Do you think
some days are worse than others, you know, and some days
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm the shit. And then other days, can we cuss?
Yes.
Okay. Some days I'm like, yeah, I'm the shit. And then some days I'm like, wow, what am I doing?
I feel like I'm the same way, and I feel like you can see that in me, is that I've grown also into loving myself a lot more than before.
Grown is an understatement.
100%. So
Yeah.
I totally understand you, where you're like, some days you're like, I don't love myself, and then other days you're like, wow, I genuinely am so happy with who I am and where I'm at and all that. Do you think it changed from when you were younger to now, in the sense of like, do you think when you were younger you loved yourself a lot more, and that maybe society made you feel like you couldn't love yourself more?
1000%. I think I was very fortunate that I had parents that were my cheerleaders every day. You're so pretty, you're so beautiful, you're so smart, every day. I thought I was the shit as a little kid, little 5-year-old walking into kindergarten. I was like, I'm gonna rock kindergarten, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got the new lunchbox
Yeah, new
4000.
lunchbox.
I'm the cool kid.
You know, I was very fortunate to have parents that like every day were hyping me up. They were literally my hype people. And so I did love myself as a kid. I loved my hair, and then, you know, kind of grew up a little bit, and my hair was kind of a struggle. I kind of got bullied when I was younger for my hair because kids didn't really understand it. I was one of the only ones with like big curly, you know, hair. And yeah, society definitely like puts that on you, like as you get older and you start to compare. It's the worst thing you could do is compare.
And we live probably in the worst city for that.
I know.
Because LA, I feel like we live in a place where, I always say that LA is like, not even a city, it's a whole different world, honestly.
Yeah.
And we go out to parties, we go to events, and at the end of the day, remember we walk into parties together, and I look at you and I'm like, Nezza, everyone's copy and pasted at this party.
I know.
Everyone looks the same, and you know, it makes you feel like,
it's definitely a hub. It's like the hub of like everyone competing to be.
Yeah, and like there's like a standard of everything, like dressing up, who you know, makeup, hair. I mean, think about it. You go on TikTok and there's like, you're scrolling and there's like, oh my God, Hailey Bieber cut her hair. 10 million people are gonna chop their hair
this
now.
week for sure.
And it's crazy the influence that, I mean, I think social media has on us now too. I think me personally, my self-love journey, you know, has like, I would say halted when I kind of started social media.
Yep.
I feel like I loved myself, and then when I did social media, I was like, yeah.
I think it's also like why our generation, like as kids, it was like easier to be like, so just like not carefree, but just like loving life a little more. And then social media came into play, and you know, kind of set the standard of like what's cool, what's in, what clothes are in, what makeup is in, like, and yeah, it just kind of switched it up a bit.
I'm on TikTok every day, and I'm like,
what do I
do next?
Franny sends me TikToks at like 1, 2 a.m. and it's just like, I'm like, what are you doing on TikTok?
I want to ask you about your career, because I feel like you are super confident when it comes to what you want to do.
For sure.
With your life and your career. And that is actually something that is honestly inspiring. And I think a lot of our viewers and fans see that, because I think anybody in this room could even like attest to this, but you are like probably one of the most hardworking people I know. And you know exactly where you want to go.
Yeah.
Was there ever a moment of doubt that you were like, I'm just like not confident enough to keep doing this or to keep going towards my music career?
All the time. Not all the time. Let me take that back. Not all the time. There has been moments, especially in the past year, because I just feel like I've been doing so much and so much on my own. And there's been days that people don't know, but I feel like this would probably be relatable, so people know that I also have days where I'm like, I'm gonna quit. And I've had those days. I think it's just, again, everyone struggles with comparing, and you know, there's so many artists, there's so many people wanting to do music in the world. The number is actually insane. And me trying to find my lane has also been a struggle, because you know, you don't want to be in someone else's lane. You don't want to just like be another artist. And so, yeah, I feel like the past like 2 years, especially, just like really focusing on being solo, because I've been in and out of girl groups my whole life. Yeah, I've had days where I'm like, is this for me? And then I have other days where I wake up and I smack myself and I'm like, no, you were meant to do this. Like, nothing is going to stop me. And I think the mentality I have right now is like, especially with like the way the year started already, like Poison's on the radio with just by the grace of God. Woo! Just by the grace of God. Like, just by, you know, just like pure love online. And I'm like, okay, no, I was meant to do this. And so this year, for sure, like nothing is going to stand in my way, for sure.
Yeah, no, and I think, I mean, it's funny, like anytime I go see you perform or I talk to someone about you, I mean, even talking to my mom about it, like she goes, oh my God, Franny, you know, Nezza was born to do that. Like, I mean, because you grew up as a dancer, right?
I did.
And
I did.
that kind of pushed you into
Yep.
the music, you know, world.
Performance
and
lifestyle,
yeah, and like, you know, you get on stage, you put on a full show, you're dancing, you're singing, you're talking, you're interacting with everyone, and it's like, that's just, I mean, it's great that, you know exactly what you want to do, but I mean, it's also good to be honest with yourself, saying, there's days that I just feel like I can't do this anymore. I mean, I think everyone feels that way.
Everyone goes through it. I bet you even like the biggest pop stars, biggest actresses, anyone,
100%.
biggest celebs go through it like,
it's kind of like
am I meant to do this? Like,
kind of like a quarter life crisis, midlife crisis type of thing. But it happens, I feel like, regularly in this industry. I mean, I feel like it's taken me a little bit to figure out exactly where I want to go and what I want to pursue and the things that I love to do. And I mean, even this show, I want to be honest with you, like, I was so passionate in starting it, but the amount of times when I was working on this show, I'm like, do I do this?
Yeah.
But I'm passionate about talking about things that are more important than, how was your day? Oh, you went to Air One today?
No, I know.
And got the Hailey Bieber smoothie? Fine. Like,
Fun.
we love the Hailey Bieber smoothie.
No,
but
we
you
do.
know what I mean? Like, I want deep conversation. And you know what's funny? I was even saying this to someone. I was like, Nezza and I are best friends, right? And we talk about everything. We are always like, yo, you hear
Guess what? Just chismosas, man.
You know, we talk a lot about everything, but we actually don't have conversations like this. It's like not common. You know what I mean?
It's not. No.
We're not sitting on my sofa being like, how do you
love yourself?
Yeah, how do you feel today? Yeah. I mean, that would be nice.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
like, you know what I mean? That's not a common thing. I'm not having conversations like that with people. I feel like it's really rare, because I also feel like in a weird way, it could be like an invasion of privacy. You don't ever know what someone is going through, you know, and you don't ever want to like trigger someone in that sense.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So
and I think it'll also be cool for viewers to like see this side, right? Because they see just every day, us buying, us working out, us doing little things on the vlog, laughing.
Joking.
And so I think this will be really cool for people just to like get another sense of who we are as human beings.
I'm really excited. Next thing I wanted to ask you in the self-love category. I feel like a lot of self-love has to do with like relationships, right? Relationships we've been in and
for sure.
You know, relationships we've been in. And I know you've been in a couple of relationships in your lifetime. And me, not so much. I want to say my experience did throw me to the ground. but
literally.
But I'm curious, because you have been in, you know, multiple relationships in the past. Do you feel like with different partners you felt more confident, not as confident, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was your self-love like questioned at all in relationships?
I feel like I've always been with people who are warm and have always kind of hyped me up. I've never been in a relationship where, you know, I felt like I needed to change myself as far as like looks, and I really do cherish, as you know, even though things happen, I do cherish every relationship that I've had, because I have been with great people as far as like them really making me feel loved.
Yeah.
And in all those relationships, I did struggle with self-love, and they'd be like, no, like, how? Like, you know?
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, everyone who struggles with self-love knows, like, I feel like Jesus himself could come down and present himself and be like, you are gorgeous, right? But still, the words, like, words can only do so much when you're struggling with that. Like, someone can be like, no, you're gorgeous, and then you're like, stop, like.
Well,
Exactly. But that's why, like, even when when you were going through your stuff, and we're still all going through it, but like, I'd be like, no, Franny, like, what? But I know, like, no matter what I say to you, like, it's just baby steps. It doesn't happen overnight. But yeah, relationship-wise, I feel like I've always struggled with self-love, but it wasn't like because of the person. And yeah, I've always kind of just like been with warm-hearted people.
Do you think the self-love or the lack of self-love in those relationships, if it wasn't from the people, was it just because you were trying to better yourself for the relationship and you felt like you weren't good enough? Because I feel like that was kind of like me in my last relationship. Like, I was struggling a lot. There was so much going on when I was in my past relationship, and like, my ex, he did make me feel like confident, whatever, but like there were moments where I felt like still not good enough. And then, you know what I mean? And that's kind of like how I felt. But yeah, I'm curious, like, was that self-love from just like trying to be better for the relationship, or the lack of it?
I think my first relationship, like my first really long-term, like almost 6-year relationship, it was that. I wanted to be his everything. I wanted to be the best girlfriend because I did not want him to leave me.
Yeah.
And that was my first relationship. Like,
get that.
First love, like, yeah. I did not want him to leave me. I was a maniac in that relationship, in the sense of like, just looking back, I'm like, I was like, it's true what they say, like when they say like love is a drug.
And I feel like your first love too. It's like, you can't even compare to what a first love does to you.
I literally like no words. Like, I was just so
head over heels,
enveloped, head over heels for that person, and I wanted nothing more in life than to just like be
everything he needed,
the best for him.
No, I get it. I mean, that's exactly how I felt. And going through a breakup, it's like, it crushes you, because you're like, oh my God, this was my whole life, and now I'm left with just myself. And I mean, I feel like it's like you start gaining that confidence and self-love in a relationship, right? And then you go through a breakup and it just kind of like hits the floor. I mean, for me personally, it's like, what could I have done better to stay? You know what I mean? What could I have done better? Like, am I not good at, you question yourself so much. And I think what I've learned in my self-love journey is that it wasn't about me, you know what I mean? It's like
it's not me, it's you.
Yeah. It's not me, it's you.
It's
not
your
me,
problem. It's you,
but
for sure.
But it's start from the bottom again, but I'm becoming a new person, a better person, and I just kind of starting that journey. So I guess really self-love is just like
it's like this.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, I got cheated on in my first relationship, so like that for me, and I knew who the girl was. I knew everything, right? And that was one of the worst things ever, was knowing who it was, because then I just would compare and it'd be like, why? What does she have? What does she have? And so like,
that was
like
boop,
boop, boop, decline.
So that was like a moment that you were like really probably low on how you felt.
That's like the lowest
yourself.
I've ever been, for sure. And then came back stronger than ever. It's like this.
No, I mean, I always say like stuff like that's never linear, because at the end of the day, yeah, like, I mean, like what you said before, you'll like feel great about yourself and then like bad, good. But yeah, it's interesting because I think relationships have a big part on self-love.
I would love to know if there's someone out there that's just like, I love myself 1000%. Every part of me, there's like nothing wrong with me. I don't think I've ever met someone.
I don't know. You know what's funny? I was curious about that when I was thinking of doing this show and asking that question. I feel like maybe Nezza might say yes.
No.
You're like,
ask my exes. No way. No way.
That's so funny.
Way.
Yeah, no, I would never guess that. But I think even, doing this, I could maybe find that person.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
I'm interested from like a percentage point, right? From like 1 to 100%. Like, how much do you love yourself?
Are we talking about like 100% is I have reached full self-love potential?
I literally could look at myself and lick myself in the mirror.
Myself.
Yeah, look myself in the mirror and marry myself.
And marry myself.
That's how hot I am. I'm kidding.
Gosh, it's just been so long since my first relationship. I feel like I've grown so much since that girl that would not get out of bed, right? I feel like I'm at like a 60%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think this will always be here. For some reason, I think I will still be 80 and having those days. I'm like combing my white hair and just being like,
you're like, damn, why do I got these
like
wrinkles?
Like, I think I will just always have those days.
Personally, I think everyone will always have room for like, not improvement. I don't want to say improvement, but I think there will always be that like percentage left, no matter how much it is, of like, I can always do better, which sometimes I don't think is a bad thing.
No, it's not, because then if you get to a place where like, well, I can't do better than this, then like what is there to like look forward to? You know what I mean?
You're not, I feel like that allows you to just like keep pursuing your dreams, keep bettering yourself, even like having a healthy lifestyle, like, which I think is so important, because I'm a really big advocate on just eat healthy, work out, take care of yourself. You're meant to have the body you're meant to have doing those things. I've dieted so much in my life, and I've never been more sad before. And it's like something so honestly mentally draining for me. I would rather eat whatever I want, at normal portions, eat healthy, take care of myself, and whatever I'm meant to look like, I'm meant to look like. And I think accepting yourself, it just gets you closer. But it's always bettering yourself. I'm like, okay, maybe I could have a green juice today. Maybe that bar will go up 5% today.
For sure.
And then I'll have McDonald's tomorrow and it'll drop 15.
Like us yesterday having McDonald's at 11:45. Having McNuggets at 11:45 in the morning.
What were we thinking?
I don't know. And then our stomachs, we just felt awful for the rest of the day. I know.
Disgusting.
It was bad.
Which is just funny because like obviously I'm not having it every day, but like I just felt I was gonna explode, and I was driving for 2 hours. We were not happy. No, that was bad. So something that we actually have in common that you're like, what?
Other than everyone telling us we are twins.
Okay, can we talk about this for a second? We need to talk about this before I ask you the next question. We get all the time that we are sisters.
Sisters, like it's mainly when my hair's like slicked or like straight. Everywhere we travel to together.
It's insane.
Oh my God, are you sisters? Oh my God, we were on a red carpet the other night, and the lady that escorted us was like, "You guys are sisters, right?" And we were like, "It's crazy." And we just started. I don't know. Like maybe we just started to, how like people just start to look alike. Like,
but it's funny because I've never like looked at us and been like, we look alike.
No, never.
Do you know what I mean?
But we get it all the time.
I know. We were in Mexico. Someone thought we were twins. I was like, that's a push. That
like,
is a push.
Yeah, they literally asked if we were twins.
One thing that we do have in common, other than that we look alike, we started kind of in the same space before YouTube. We were just, doing our regular jobs.
For sure.
You were working at PacSun, right? I was a waitress. Honestly, mentally, how has that been for you? Because for me, it's kind of hard to wrap my head around it sometimes, to think that like I literally was broke as hell at one point in my life, which I'm pretty grateful that I was at that point once, because I appreciate money. I appreciate the things that I have so much. You know, knowing what it felt like to just be making it by and like having rent, like just the right amount of money for rent and just the right amount of money for food. Like I would literally, my friends would ask me out, when I lived here in LA, my friends would be like, let's go bowling, let's go to the movies. And I would literally be like, sorry, I can't afford it.
I would literally have maybe $5 in my bank account, and I would have to go to Jack in the Box and buy like dollar tacos, like the dollar for 2 tacos. That was my dinner.
No, I know, and it's crazy because I feel like now, obviously my confidence from then to now, I'm sure you can agree, is like 180 almost. You know what I mean? Because like it's, you know, you're comfortable now, you can support yourself and enjoy yourself. But yeah, coming from, you know, working at PacSun to now, do you think, you know, mentally it was like a challenge, or do you think it was just like a really easy transition for you?
I think it was all a risk for me, right? Because when I moved into that house with you, I didn't know what was going to happen. I was quitting my like life support, basically, you know what I mean? I had been with PacSun for almost 6 years, making decent money. It was hard. It was hard. I mean, you get worked to the bone in retail, like especially if you're higher up and you're working 40 plus hours a week, like people know. The transition for me, I did miss it, but I think this is because, as you and our friends know, I'm a workaholic.
Yeah, she doesn't stop, guys.
I don't stop, and I feed off of it. I need to be doing something at all times, and I've had it since I was a kid, and that's why I juggled so many clubs, so many extracurriculars. I don't know who I get it from or why.
Were you like a straight A student?
Yes.
I could have guessed that.
You know, I don't know why God made me this way, but I get shit done. And I think the transition, we worked really hard in that house though. We were posting 3 videos a week. David producing every single video.
Nezza, when I think about that time, I don't know how we survived it.
But it was just you and me, because we would be so tired to even do anything else from filming so much.
I didn't have a life those 6 months.
No. So I think I missed it a little bit because it was just more structured. I think this life, I'm now used to it. I love what I do. I'm so blessed. I'm so freaking thankful for what we do. But I think in the beginning, because there was no I loved having the time that I wake up, go open the store, my shift, I have my lunch, I exit, whatever. And I think in this lifestyle, our schedules are so kind of fluid because we have the luxury of kind of choosing our hours. So I was kind of all over the place in the beginning. But I think for me, because I had you and I had David, the transition was way easier than it would have been for another person.
I get that. Yeah, when you're on your own, climbing this social,
not
even climbing it, but when you start posting on social media and you just start kind of going off and you're starting to gain a following and stuff and navigating all of that and making your own schedule. It's intense.
I think about this all the time until this day when I see TikTokers that are just blowing up in their room by themselves.
Well, I think about that Alex Earl girl.
I'm I hope you have the support system that I had, because I can't imagine the trajectory of what happened to me that year and not having any of you. I don't know what I would have done. I think I would have gone crazy.
No, I totally understand that, because I had that support when I was living with the boys. So they kind of, guided me, helped me when things were getting a little chaotic. They were like, no, Franny, this is all normal, you know what I mean? Like I said, back to Alex Earl, she's blowing up on TikTok.
Yeah.
Insane. She's probably the biggest person on the internet right now.
She's the new TikTok it girl for sure.
Exactly. And having, that many followers so quickly from, she was just a girl from Miami. Yeah, she had money is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But all of that goes out the window when your mental health is kind of on the line. Yeah. So it's you're right. Hoping that she has a support system, she has people to keep her grounded, to let her know it's okay to have bad days.
For sure.
It's okay to be overwhelmed with too much stuff to do.
And she's on a platform, I think TikTok is one of the platforms that can get the most nasty.
Yeah.
As far as like
100 with comments and stuff.
Yeah, as far as people being mean.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, I'm sure this happens to you and me too. Like
all the time.
The most random usernames.
All
like,
the time.
It's like anonymous 4826. Oh, you're so ugly. I'm like,
Ugly.
what? I'm just like, where did you come from?
I know.
And then it's funny when like people are defending us. They're like, don't call her that. I'm like, yeah, get him. Yeah, no, I totally understand that because I was the same way. And I mean, coming from being a waitress to that, it was weird to not have structure anymore because I think the biggest thing for me that I still like, I don't want to say struggle with now, but I'm just really aware of it is that when I had a regular job, when I was a waitress, I would go to work, leave, and then that was it, right? We don't have that. Our brains are basically turned on 24/7. It's like I'm going to bed, right? I'm going to bed and I'm like, oh, I finally get to wind down and just chill out. And then I'm sitting there and I'm just scrolling through TikTok, and in my head I'm like, okay, what can I do next? What can I do tomorrow?
Yeah.
And I'm not turned off. Mm-hmm. I'm turned off when my eyes are shut and I'm dreaming about Cheetos or something. Like that's when I'm turned off. But other than that, we don't turn off. We turn on the second we wake up and then when we go to bed.
Yeah.
I talked to my therapist recently, telling him how I get so tired going to Target. Just wait for it, right? And it was worrying me. I was like, why am I so tired going to Target? Like mentally so tired going to Target. And what we've honestly figured out is that when I go out, I turn on like an extra like boost in my head of like, is someone gonna come up to me? You know, is someone gonna recognize me? Am I gonna have to turn on, like, you know what I mean? And not even in a bad way of like, I don't want, you know, my viewers to come up to me because I love meeting everyone. Yeah. But it is something that I think I keep subconsciously in my head. So when I go out, I'm like turned on. I'm scanning everything. I'm scanning the stores.
I wouldn't have thought about that, but yeah. No. I mean, I recently had a situation where I was hanging out with someone and I was like, hey, we're going somewhere where I for sure will get stopped. I for sure
like the demographic hits.
Right. Yeah. And I was like, just so you know. And I was anxious that entire time that we were hanging out because I was just like on, you know.
When you're on alert like that, it's like, you know you're on alert, but like you don't actually understand the mental like strength it takes or like how tired you are.
I wouldn't have thought of that, but I do scan wherever I go.
I talk about it with my therapist now because I, for the life of me, was like, why do I go to Target and I come back ready to take a nap? I left for 20 minutes. And then it came down to, it's not like it's not physical work that I'm doing, but it's mental work that I'm doing.
I think what also adds to that though is we live in a city where we run into people.
I know.
Even people that we
help.
just know. And like we just know. Everyone is here and we just run into people that like we know like all the time, and like I can't go anywhere outside during the day without running into someone. You know what's
so crazy to me? We live probably in one of the biggest cities, right?
Yeah.
But this industry is so damn small. Like
everyone is connected, even if it's like 2 or 3 people away.
No, like, you meet someone and you're like,
if you're like, oh, I want to meet so and so, I got you. I will find someone who knows someone who is their cousin or their ex-doctor or something.
That's what I'm saying. Like everyone knows everyone, and it's honestly blows my mind. And I think that's another thing too, where personally I don't like going to events. I feel like you know that about me.
We've gotten to a point where we definitely are very choosy about the events that we
sometimes, you know, I feel like my management's like, our managers are like, you guys should go, like you should do it, like you should be social. And I'm like, I don't want to go talk to people. And then I get yelled at, but not even in a bad way. It's always like, yeah, like you should go and like, you know, put yourself out there, like make some connect, like talk to people.
I will say, I went to that event the other day by myself. First time I've ever gone alone to an event that was like a sit-down dinner.
Were you anxious?
So anxious, I almost threw up in the car.
Because you probably were like, who am I going to run into, huh?
Because I knew it was a sit-down dinner, so obviously I'm going alone, right? Because we don't get plus ones. And I'm going to be sitting next to people I don't know. And honestly, best decision I made because the girls I sat with were so nice and I made new friends and they're great and they're like new to LA and I was like, oh my God, I'll show you around, and just new influencers new to the space. And I
think that's important is to put yourself in situations like that, because I just went to Canada with Ayla.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know any of the other girls going on the trip, and I remember being like, what am I doing? Because like I'm going to a whole different country with a group of girls I don't know. I could put myself in a situation where I'm going to be so anxious and uncomfortable, but I think I've learned to to not really judge situations.
Well, that's also
anymore.
how you met Ayla, isn't it?
Yes.
On that trip, that random trip that you
And
went
I'm going to be honest with you. I was judging Ayla, and I didn't like her at first. And she did nothing wrong to me. She did nothing wrong to me. She was really nice. She was really sweet. But I think at the time, though, when I met Ayla, I was struggling a lot with, like, my self-image and my confidence.
Yes.
So, like, you know, Ayla's beautiful. I think, I honestly, now thinking about it, I will admit, I think I was just really threatened by her because she's beautiful and, like, she was really charismatic and really sweet and stuff. But I think I was struggling with a lot of, like, self-love issues at the moment that I was like,
I mean, that was like almost 4 years ago now.
Who's this little girl?
Yeah, little fit girl.
Little fit girl
girly.
just, you know, waltzing around up in here. I met her on an Australia trip for a company I went with. But exactly. And I mean, granted, we didn't end up friends from that trip, but we kind of like ended up in like the same world and the same friend group, and then she ended up dating Kian, and now literally Ayla's one of my best friends, which is so funny to me. And we always talk about it. I was like, remember when I didn't like you? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. At least we know. Yeah, and like that's something that I definitely have grown from, and I always try to like reflect that. Like, I feel like I was really easy to judge people. Not even when I moved out here. I think is when I started doing social media. I started judging a lot of people because, I mean, I don't want to say this was for sure a thing, but there were a couple instances where I felt like, you know, people were just trying to be my friends to get to my friends.
1,000%.
You know what I mean? So I was extremely protective of myself and of the people around me. So I was just very short. I didn't really talk to people. I mean, the amount of times I've heard from people, you know, I've heard from someone being like, yeah, no, they're like scared of you. They think you're a bitch. And I'm like, I'm not mean. I promise.
You're just protective of...
I'm just really protective of myself and like my space, and like I'm not a very welcoming person right off the bat unless like I kind of already know what your intention is. I'm the kind of person where I'll like stand back and watch you from afar until I kind of know
what the intentions are. I'm the exact same way though.
But I've learned, or I am learning from that moment of meeting Ayla in Australia, is I can't really do that. Like I really do try to go into it. I mean, I was so young at the time. I think I was like 21, 20, whatever. And I think now I try to go into situations with an open mind. I have no idea what this person, you know, does, has to offer, hence why I'm doing this show is like, you know, I would rather sit there and talk to someone new and just get to know them actually at a deeper connection than just judging them and being like, I'm not going to like you and then walking away. Because that's what I used to do like 5 years ago. Yeah. Because that's just like kind of was my fight or flight mode, honestly. Another question I wanted to ask, you said that your family have been your supporters, right? Yeah. Just through thick and thin. Yeah. I know you said this before, but they've had a massive impact on the reason that you are as confident as you are today. I would say that your parents are very confident.
Yeah.
Your mom,
you know my mother, yes.
Your mom is extremely confident, and I love her for that.
Yes.
And I do think that has a lot to do with it too, you know, being raised in a household or in a family that they are, because they were dancers as well, right?
My dad was a b-boy, full on, when he was in Colombia as a kid, and then my mom
That's
just
so
is
cute.
a dancer. She just loves to salsa.
What's your favorite thing to dance?
Salsa, merengue, cumbia, bachata. Bachata's probably like their favorite, and salsa.
Did they dance competitively?
No, but funny story. So there was this. San Jose has like a salsa festival. I don't know if they still have it, but we thought salsa festival. We thought like we were gonna go try salsas.
Don't even tell me you walked into a dancing salsa festival.
We thought that we were going to try, and I was so excited. I love spicy, obviously.
So funny.
Hot Cheeto queen right here. But we thought we were going to like a salsa like festival, and it was just like a dance salsa festival. Yeah. And there was a salsa competition, and my parents entered. They're not professionals. They just do it for fun. They've never taken salsa classes or whatever, and they won. And they won a trip. Up. Yes, they did.
They won a trip where?
They won a trip to somewhere. I don't even know if they ever used it, but they won the trip.
That's just a show. You don't need to be, you just gotta be like, I feel like dedicated and talented, and you don't even need any damn classes.
No, I don't.
For dancing.
I think part of the reason that I aspired to be a performer is also because of them, because anyone who's witnessed my parents growing up, if we were at a wedding, literally the entire dance floor would move and it would just be my parents on the dance floor. Any family party, like literally everyone would just like separate and watch them, and they wouldn't even realize sometimes that we had just like, because they're just in their own little world, and they're just always the stars of the show.
I mean, they go for it.
They're the best.
Because we spent Christmas together, not this past year, the year before, and like they were, I mean, there was like 6 of us, but they were like spinning and twirling.
Yeah, they're the best. So
that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think it's important to have had that growing up, and I think obviously it had a big impact.
I actually just had someone ask me, or not ask me, but they were like, because they met my parents, and they were like, I'm shocked you didn't turn out a spoiled brat. He goes, I've never seen that dynamic. He's like, your parents are like literally your biggest fans, like would do anything in the world for you.
Stage mom and dad, yeah.
Stage mom and dad. And he goes, and he was like, but you're not a spoiled brat. He goes, I would love to know what they did, because obviously I want to be just as supportive to my kids.
Yeah.
But he's like, I've always been scared of that dynamic. I don't want to, be so much that they're like, they turn out spoiled brats. And I was like, I don't know, I'll let you know. Let me ask my mom what her plan was raising me. But I would love to do whatever my parents did, because like I do feel really loved by them. I've never felt not loved by them. And I feel like I was very fortunate where we got to do a lot of things, and I had a lot of, nice things growing up. But we like bare minimum, but my mom was the one that like would basically pull like extra jobs to like pay for like a prom dress or something for me.
And I think that will like
transition into my kids.
Yeah, transition into you being a mother.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like you're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that your kids are happy, and your kids get what, they want. And I know you're going to be performing till the day you die, probably. So your kids will see that. They'll see you on stage, dancing and spinning. And they'll be like, that's
Same
my
thing.
mom.
That's my mom. That's what I would
That's
say.
my mom shaking a booty on stage.
That's literally what my parents be like, that's my parents, that's my mom, that's my dad. That's literally, I would scream that when we were at parties, and they'd be like the center of attention.
Yeah, and you have a younger sister, right?
I do.
Carolina. And are you guys close? I feel like you guys are pretty close, or no? I don't really talk to you about her.
Closer now. She's going to watch this and be like,
she's like, we've always been close.
We were never close, and she knows this. We've acknowledged it, and I think we're 6 years apart, and so I think we were always in different spaces in life, right? My parents waited a little too long to have a second kid. So, like, I was out of high school when she entered high school. Yeah. Like, we didn't like boys at the same time. Like, I had my first boyfriend, and she was still like, what are boys? You know what I mean? And so...
yeah, it's kind of hard to relate when it comes to stuff like that.
But 3 years ago for her birthday, I got her an iPhone so that we could FaceTime, because she's been Android this whole time. I was like, you want to talk to me? FaceTime me. I'm not about doing this green text anymore. So I got her an iPhone for her birthday, and we've gotten way closer. Like we talk like way more regularly now than we did.
When do you think that happened? Do you think like more recent, or was it like maybe 5 years ago?
Definitely more recent. I think since she's like graduated, it's been like, now that she's like kind of doing life, now that we're like older, now that we're like basically in the same life.
Yeah, she's not in school anymore. She's pursuing her career.
Exactly,
You're
I'm
pursuing yours.
Career. So now we like have stuff to talk about.
Like in common. Was there ever a time where you and her sat down, and either she came to you for any sort of advice, or you sat down with her and you were like, look, this is not easy, but you know what I mean? Like, whether it has to do with loving yourself, or just like the two of you without your parents there, like having a deep conversation.
Yeah, I think we've had those moments, especially she was there the day that I got cheated on or found out, or one of the days. She was with me.
Oh my gosh.
Because she was with me in LA. It happened, and then we drove back. I drove her back to the Bay. Yeah. And so we had those like 6 hours, and I remember that conversation like perfectly, and we were just talking about the whole thing, and obviously I was a mess. Yeah. She's always been there for me. It's funny because sometimes it feels like she's the older sister. Sometimes, and you met Carolina, sometimes the way she talks, I'm like,
she's so mature for her age.
No, I know.
So mature for her age. It's insane.
So sometimes I feel like she's the older sister, and she's like, you gotta do this. Or sometimes like if me and my mom are like at each other's throats, she's like,
just screaming,
hey, you two, like, and she'll be like, you know how mom is, don't do that. And then she'll be like, mom, you know how Nezza is, don't do that. And so, yeah.
It's crazy because I feel like I don't want to say the youth, I'm not that old, but I will say I definitely think I have found a lot of inspiration and wise words from like a younger, I don't want to say person, but like a younger friend, or you know, because you know we already went through that. We went through the, you know, the young life of going out or whatever. And sometimes it's, I think, nice to talk to someone that's a little younger to like, I guess, like remind us that, I don't know, sometimes they remind me that it's gonna be okay. Because like, oh my God, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why. Sometimes they're a little more wiser than us because like we're like living life and we're like, oh, we're older now, da da da. But they're like, everything's gonna be okay. Like, I feel like younger people are just like more carefree, a little more carefree and stuff. And I think as you get older, you become a little more uptight of being like, oh, I gotta.
For sure.
Yeah, I just think they inspire us still. Yeah. I think the younger crowd of people inspire us, and I mean, look at them. They're the ones taking over the internet at this time. Like, with that being said, you know, how I asked you, have you ever had a deep conversation with your sister? And you were like, we've had tons, which is so, I think, really important. I think when you know, have siblings, it's important to obviously be there for them and help them with whatever they're going through. But I guess to just wrap this conversation up, do you have any advice or anything you want to just share with, you know, the people watching on, you know, self-love, questioning yourself, feeling like a lack of confidence, just I guess some wise words for someone like going through a hard time?
I always tell myself, don't worry about something for more than 5 minutes that isn't going to matter in 5 years.
Damn, that's really good.
Yeah, I don't remember where I read that, but I've repeated that so many times. Online too, I've said it. I think that really helps me just to understand that it's gonna be okay and I can't dwell over little things. But self-love doesn't happen overnight. And you know, you could have your hot girl summer and you could be like, this is a year of building me, and you might get to the end of the year, it might be the new year, and you're like, I still am not where I want to be like self-love wise, and that's okay, because I feel like I'm always gonna have even like a smidge of it, even if I get to a point where I'm like even at 80%. I don't know anyone who's at 80%.
It's true.
But it's true. Yeah. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes baby steps. I think my friends are huge in my self-love journey. I think also if you're with, you know, if you have a partner, I think, you know, being with someone who is gonna hype you up is super important. Just know that it doesn't happen overnight, and it's gonna be okay.
Most of the time it's temporary.
Yep.
It's not
just temporary.
Bye, Nezza. But yeah, that feeling is temporary. It's not forever. Yeah. And
even if it feels like
forever, yeah.
Even if you're like, it's been a week, I'm like, no, like, you're fine. It's been a month, you know, like, no, it'll get better, for sure.
Well, Nezza, thank you so much
for
being on Over the Surface. Oh my God. You were honestly a delight, and
thanks. I know.
You were such a delight. You were great. And like I said, I think we don't ever have conversations like this. We talk about other stuff and we talk about whatever, but we don't ever, you know, talk about how we're feeling and like, do we love ourselves? And stuff like this. So I'm glad we got to have that conversation. Yeah. But thank you. You guys can go ahead and follow @BabyNezza on Instagram. Hey. Go listen to her music.
Thanks.
Just Nezza, right?
Just Nezza.
Listen to her music, YouTube channel, Nezza, Baby Nezza. Anything Nezza, go find it.
My tour merch is out.
Her tour merch is out. Go check that out. Anything else you want to plug?
No, that's it.
All right, I love you.
I love you. Yes.
Okay, I love you
I
so
never
much.
hug Franny.
I know. And look, at the beginning, she didn't want to hug me, and now she's gonna frame this as proof. We're like out of frame.
No.
Let's go on.
Cheers to episode 1.
Yay! Let's get on out of here.
Beady beady bum bum.
Beady beady bum bum.
Beady 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 beady.
When I got here, I didn't really know anybody. I came by myself. I didn't have much of anything.
So you would say that, you know, Muse was started when you were like in a darker place?
It's hard for everybody. And like nobody has it easy. And the kids on the internet that you see are all as sad as you are. I genuinely have no idea how much time I have left. I don't know why that makes me sad.